Welcome to day 2 of the National Hedgerow Week hedge visits. So here we are in the far end of what we call the racetrack with a lovely avenue of tall hedges on either side of the grassy meadow. I'll turn the camera around in a moment so that you can see them. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. The sun's shining, which is lovely, yeah, so off we go for a little tour of the hedgerows. So there we are, the camera's turned round, you can see these beautiful hedgerows. So on my right hand side, which is left hand side of the screen, you can see a lovely long row of trees and bushes. There's a little tree, not a little tree, quite a big tree in the middle. We'll see how big it is when we get there. If I just wander out from this hedge that I'm standing next to, you see it's kind of replicated on the left hand side, your right hand side of the picture as well. There's a little bit of variance between the one on each side, but they're essentially similar. And they have these lovely tall silver birch trees all the way along. There are a few willow trees as well, which we'll find as we go. The one in the middle of the field is also a willow tree, just getting its beautiful baby green leaves at the moment. And then amongst the other trees, we've got a few Austrian pine trees, just to add a little bit of evergreen and variation, and they will be slower growing, but they'll grow up much bigger ultimately than the other trees. We have Spindle, or euonymus, which is a beautiful tree or bush. You can leave it to grow tall or cut it to whatever your hedge height is if you want to. And it has beautiful colours in autumn and the most amazing fluorescent drupes or berries or fruits in late summer. I'll show you some pictures of those after we've done the hedge tour. Amongst all that, we've got quite a lot of hawthorn, which is a lovely tree for hedgerows. It's prickly and irregular and complex, and it's really great for the birds to hide and nest in. Very spiky, so it gives them some protection as well. And also it has lovely pretty May flowers, and ultimately later on in the season it will have the lovely berries or haws, H-A-W-S, which are tasty for the birds, tasty for us as well, nutritious. Don't eat the pips, but you can eat the berries. Yeah, and what else have we got? And we've got roses. We've got some of our native roses, as we saw in the hedge yesterday. We've got some sweetbriar rose and some dog roses, and also another little rose whose name I can never remember, has really dark purpley green leaves and very deep fuchsia pink flowers. I'll come back to that once I've remembered its name. And we've got an awful lot of what are known as Japanese roses or rugosa roses. It's Rosa rugosa, and we've got pink ones and white ones, and some that have crossed with each other, so we've got a variation of pinkness along the hedges. The flowers of course aren't out just yet. Give them another month or so and we'll have all of these hedges completely bedecked with beautiful roses. And then you really need smelly vision as well, because the aroma of rose on the breeze is just gorgeous. Anyway, and at the end here, and just around the corner of the hedge, we can see some blossom there, and that's on an apple tree. A crab apple tree in the hedge has got its blossoms all out there, just on the corner. Beautiful. And the dogs are being very, very calm and well behaved at the moment. They're just ambling about as I'm talking. So with no further ado, let's go and walk along the hedges. And just to mention as well, before we set off, there's a lot of things under the hedges as well. There's all sorts of plants, herbs. We've got a whole load of cruciferi here of varying kind. And there's all sorts of other things as well as we go along. Plenty of bramble, lots and lots of bramble, some dandelions. We've got some sticky weed or goosegrass, cleavers. We've got some early shoots of the willow herbs coming up in the hedge. There's nettle. What else can I see from here? There's all manner of things in there. More umbellifers. Thistle, of course. Thistles down here. We've got little thistles, creeping thistles, and I'm sure we're going to find some spear thistles at some point. And we've got plantains. A lovely plantain, very beneficial plant. A nice health-giving plant. Little flower heads, taste of mushroom. If you fancy eating one of those, the leaves are quite bitter but very nutritious, and have lots of vitamin K. They're healing plants, great for healing wounds or soothing stings or grazes and cuts. It heals, stops bleeding, soothes, great for your skin. It's got allantoin, which is good for your skin. And all sorts of giant bramble up here in the hedge. So here we go, we're going along the hedges. So we've got the lovely hawthorns. This one hasn't got its flowers out yet, they're just little flower buds. They'll come out in the next few days, I think. And we've got a blackthorn. Oh yes, I forgot to mention the blackthorn. Is this blackthorn? No, what's this? This isn't a blackthorn. Where's it? I don't even know where that's coming from, that branch. Where are you coming from? No, that's a spindle. I think that's coming off the spindle, I think. We'll see a better one in a bit. And then we've got the Rosa rugosa just here with the little rosy leaves on there. These have different spike arrangements or different thorns from our native roses. The rugosa roses just have they have more thorns, and they're more closely together, and they're more pointy. Actually, this one doesn't seem to have many thorns at all left. They must have all rubbed off in the wind. But generally they're much more spiky than our native roses. And here we've got the birch tree. A little one, just a little shade because of the sun being behind the hedge here. We'll go across the road across the field into the other side in a minute. And we've got a lovely little, it's not very big yet, Austrian pine. It's just getting its little candles. They all get little candles for the flowers this time of year. You can see some on the other side better. So I think we'll go across the other side into the sunshine and be able to see better what I'm showing you. Lots of thistles in this field. I might try and reduce these in this corner this year by mowing the thistles out. There's a lot to pull out by hand. So we've got a lot of plantains here. They're really nice. Okay, no point in doing anything about them. It's perfect, super little plants. And we've got lots of dandelions. I must show you all the dandelions. Look at all these lovely dandelions. Just as far as the eye can see, we've got dandelions. Beautiful dandelions. Not so many in this field because this is a grass meadow for hay. So here we've got the birch tree, and we've got the hawthorn tree, a bush, and we've got rugosa rose, and we've got some more hawthorn, and the birch tree with its lovely catkins hanging. A lot of these falling off in the field at the moment. More rose, more hawthorn, birch, another little Austrian pine hiding in the middle there. When you plant hedges, the trees are very close together, so they all have to find their space in the sun, and they all work out. That's lovely, isn't it? Wow, look at that gorgeous birch tree there with this little decoration of catkins and its beautiful new leaves. It's amazing. Don't you just love trees? I love trees. And look at the lovely bark on the birches. Each one's completely unique. And they're all so pretty. They're slightly different colours. No, they're called silver. They're not all silver. All sorts of different colours in them. Yep. And through the hedge here you can see a pond. It's one of our newt ponds. See the side. And here we go. So going up the hedge here, we've got the lovely candles on the Austrian pine. We've got lots and lots of hawthorn in here. Lots of roses. This hedge didn't really get trimmed this year. We don't trim all the hedges every year. They get trimmed about once every 3 years or so. So they don't all get done at once. We couldn't possibly do them all at once. It's too much work. We'd never fit it into a winter. So we do some of them each year. Sometimes we just do one side and not the other side. Sometimes we just do the top and not the sides, or sometimes just the side and not the top. Just depends when we get to, but they all get done. We'll get a little trim, not a severe trim ever. Just keep them at or try to keep them at a decent height. This one has escaped, I'd say. Oh, there goes the dogs. I think the rabbit just ran up the hedge. Run, rabbit, run. I don't want any caught bunnies, thank you. Got a big bird. I only saw it out the corner of my eye. I've got these lovely trees, this lovely tall hedge. It really is a lot taller than me. It's massive, actually. Even the bushes that are supposed to be hedge bushes are easily probably twice my height. Yes, they're quite big. So slightly escaped for the moment. We may bring that down slightly next year, next winter when it gets its trim. Oh, and here we've got a different rose. This is one of the native roses. So I think this is a dog rose. So this has slightly different leaves. They're much kind of flatter and more open. And the spikes, I don't know if you can see on here, the little thorns are quite big thorns, but they're well spaced out on the branches. I'll have a look at those now in a moment to see the difference. But this is a native rose. It really is quite visually different. And here's some fallen catkins off the birch trees, just nesting in the rose bush. Yeah, so here's a rugosa rose. I'll get my shadow out there. You can see that this is much more crinkly. They're less flat, the leaves, more sort of gathered together and crowded. And oh yes, and here's a stem with some wonderful spikes. So you see the spikes are much tinier in breadth, but they're quite tall, extremely sharp and very close together. So not a cuddly bush at all. Yeah, cuddly bush. And that bramble coming all the way out into the car. I'll just trim that a little so it doesn't trip anyone over. And here we go, just carrying on along this wonderful hedge. I'll just show you the other side again. See, it's very similar. And behind that hedge over there is the wild field, which I'll have a look at. I'll have a look at when we get to the gate a bit further up. Another magnificent trunk. All these little details in nature are what makes it so special. Just look at the amazing patterns in that trunk that nature has designed for us. Taking the time out every day just to appreciate all these little fine details in nature. Even just the simple shape of a leaf and the beautiful little flower buds. And then watching them change from one day to the next. As these leaves get darker as they mature and thicker and firmer, they're lovely and soft. Of course, they're brand new leaves at this time of year. I've got some nettles down here. And some goosegrass, sticky weed. Lots more roses. Oh, and we've got a rowan, a little rowan tree tucked in the corner here. I saw a rowan in the other hedge, so it's got its little flower buds here as well. These beautiful new leaves. And that's somewhere in the depths of over there. Oh, there it is. Yep, so there's a rowan tree tucked in here. There it is. It's quite big actually. It's gone all the way up. Oh gosh, it is. It's quite big. It's gone all the way up there into the canopy. So that's lovely, isn't it? A beautiful rowan tree. Magical. Lots and lots of folklore associated with many of our trees, but particularly the rowan. Which of course it was May Day, or built on Monday on the 1st of May this week, and so that was a time when the veil between the worlds is thinned and ancestors' spirits can come and join us and connect, and the fae and the she and the fairies are all out and about creating mischief, and a rowan is actually a way to protect yourself from their tricky magic. Anyway, look at that beautiful white on the silver birch bark. That is so amazing in the sun. And can you just listen to the bird song? This is just all the time the bird song. Yeah, here's another little hawthorn. Again, it's a different one because this one has only very baby leaves coming out yet. It's much further behind than some of its friends in the same hedge, and its little flower buds. So this one's not as far advanced as some of the others, and as I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about the other hedge, each individual tree is exactly that, individual. So just like we're all individual humans, each hawthorn, each blackthorn, each birch tree, each rose bush are all completely individual. They'll grow to different sizes at different rates. Some will be early for everything, some will be late for everything, just like humans. Yeah, and so, and here's a spindle. We saw a baby one baby leaf's just coming out the other end. So here's a spindle. It's a bit further ahead, slightly sunnier spot. So it's got bigger leaves out now. These have quite interesting bark. It's got that sort of, you can see it in the camera, but it's got this sort of stripiness. If you look into the tree, it's got sort of stripiness to the bark. And the stems are quite angular as well. So it's quite a characteristic tree. Now it's a lovely tree, as I say. It has these beautiful coloured fruits and groups, not real berries, on later on in the summer, and then the leaves all change to beautiful colours in the autumn, reds and purples and oranges. It's a really stunning tree. It's not edible for humans, it's actually toxic, so don't eat one. But it is stunning in the hedge. It is a native too, it's allowed to be here. All of these except the Austrian pines, not native. They're similar, very closely related to our Scots pine, which is native, and we'll see some Scots pine in one of the other hedges. Here we've got another worm. It's not a worm, like caterpillars in the trees, but these are just dropped it now. The willow, not the willow, the birch catkins falling off. And here's the wee candles forming in the Austrian pine. They look quite attractive, a bit of decoration. And so on we go. And look back at the other hedge, see how far we've come. Oh, I didn't show you the willow tree in the middle. We've gone past it anyway. Gone past the willow tree now. Well, there'll be more. There's more up here. But we're just coming up to one soon. So we've just got a mix here of hawthorn and rose and birch and spindle. It's mostly what there is in Austrian pine. So there's predominantly five species in here, plus random other things like the rowan and this willow here. There's another willow, quite a big one. And then of course we've got all the stuff underneath the hedge, the bramble which is not just underneath it, and the thistles and various other herbs down here. Just looking to see if there's anything else new. Oh, some peas. There's some peas down here. Get out of the way. Some little vetch plants here. This is a common vetch. It looks like a pea flower, pea shoot. It's a pea plant with the little tendrils at the top that wind it up the grasses. But it's just similar, very similar to our cultivated peas. You can eat that plant, and you can eat green peas, but you have to treat the black peas like you would red kidney beans. So you have to soak them and cook them first thoroughly before they're edible. They're only little, and your chances of grabbing them are quite small because they're in spring-loaded pods that distribute them quite widely across the field. So once you've got some, you'll have lots. That's our little common vetch. It will have beautiful little purple flowers on soon, and that would be happy times for all the bees and insect pollinators. There's some little flies on these willows. The willow catkins are great for pollen. Little fly, you can see it there, grabbing itself some nectar or pollen out of this catkin flower. I often see bees on them. I heard a bee just there, I don't know where it went though. There's a lot of flies. There were mayflies the other day, but they seem to have disappeared for now. They only live about 48 hours in the adult stage and then they disappear. But they're amazing when they're here. A lot of little flies at the moment. A lot of little flies. Right, this spur plant came out and then it got really cold, so its baby leaves have shriveled in the very cold overnight temperatures, which is what happens to plants in the north here in the spring. They get going, they think they're okay to start opening their leaves, and then boom, cold nights hit them, horrible wet weather days, cold, windy, it was horrid yesterday. They come and hit them, and that's it, they've wasted their time on those leaves and their energy, and they have to start again. So they have a tough time up here in the northeast, these little plants. A short season anyway, and then it's shortened by repeated attempts to get started and failing. Being a plant, tough life being a plant. Up here anyway, probably alright somewhere else. It's got a more balmy climate. Here's another native rose tucked in here. Got one of last year's dead rose hips on the end. Never got eaten or fell off. And that's a little, still have seeds inside, so there's still food in there for someone should they want it. And it's busy climbing out of the hedge. Have to put it back in. There's a little hoverfly here. I'll catch you. I'll catch you. Right, on we go. Pleasant aeroplanes. Everyone's obviously gone on holiday. It's much busier aeroplanes at the moment now. Been fairly quiet all winter. And we'll just pop across the other side to see the wild field while we're here. Lots more dandelions. Lots more thistles as well. Gonna pull these out. These ones get hand weeded out. And there's the ragwort. We need to pull that one out too. Of course, this is our. We don't take hay every year, but this is our hay meadow if we do take hay. So we keep all the difficult weeds out of this one as much as we can. We pull all the thistles out because they're not nice in the hay, it's prickly. And we take obviously any ragwort out because that's toxic for anyone who's going to eat the hay. And we take the hogweeds out as well just because they're too big and unwieldy. There's one, there's a hogweed. Yep, hogweed down there. And any other interlopers that come along. We've got quite a bit of clover in here. There's actually a fair bit of buttercup just here. I might have to sort that out too. Okay, anyway, so what we've got here is the wild field, and between the gate here we can see these wonderful comfrey plants. There's there's lots of comfrey plants there. Quite far behind other parts of the country up here because of the climate. So these are not up to their flower spikes just yet, but they're starting to come up. And this is perfect haven for bees and pollinators in between these two gates. They only ever have to get cut down a bit if I need to get a tractor in for any reason to cut paths and so on. So this is the wild field up here. It has a few paths. It has some hedges. We'll go out there another day and have a look around the new baby hedge that's in there, which just got planted, not winter gone, but the one before, and had to contend with a drought its first summer. Anyway, so that's the wild field. Back to the hedges. You can see behind this hedge, across the way there, our wind turbine, just gently turning. It's not particularly breezy today. It's obviously a bit breezier at the top there than it is down here. And that's just turning away gently. Not doing a lot at the moment, but it's doing something. And here's the dog's waiting. Right, so I'll carry on to the end here. Anything else? We've got some more willows in here. Another willow coming up here. Some of the willows have just planted themselves. The willow tree. It's not got much in the way of leaves yet. In fact, this one is still just opening its catkins. So, as I say, all the willows are different. There's hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of willows. They're not easy to classify. Willows and poplars and birches, all in the same family, and the experts have trouble agreeing on what classification, what families, what species they all belong to, because there's so many and they crossbreed with each other. But anyway, so there's some have narrow leaves and some have long leaves and some have wide leaves. This one's quite a late one to flower. It's just going to open its catkins now. In May, most of them have kind of done that already and starting to get their leaves. What else we've got? We've got some, see if I can find them. We've got some raspberry in here as well. I can see the blackberries. Maybe a bit further. Might be a bit further along. Carry on. It's a spindle. It's going to get its flowers, this one, over this side. Here's a spindle with its little baby flowers ready to open. And it has tiny, tiny little green flowers. They're not much bigger than you can see the dots there. They just open into little green cross shapes. And that's the flowers of the spindle. The flowers are very unassuming, but the fruits are very amazing. Another willow tree. This one's much further ahead. Got its leaves on. Same hedge, similar position, different behaviour altogether. It's got a lovely big trunk in there. This one planted itself, or nature planted it for us. Hard to tell, isn't it? It's very closely arranged with all the other plants though. They all fight their way up. This little tiny birch, you see, it's much smaller than it's planted at the same time as all the others we've seen with the big trunks. But because it's in the middle of another tree, it's having a long, long, slow journey up. But it's going up through the tree. It's going to find its way up into the sun. It's gone all the way up. It goes all the way up. It's almost at the top of this willow tree. So it's going to be fine. It's just going to be smaller. And some of its friends. Some of its friends over there. Look at the size of that one. It's amazing. We've got some nice big Hawthorn pines over that side too. They're a bit bigger than more over this side. Again, each tree is a different tree. Each tree a different tree. Still looking for these raspberries, but I can't see them yet. I know there's a lot of raspberry in here somewhere, but it's not really that obvious at the moment. It's probably only just coming into leaf. It's very hard to distinguish from the blackberry bramble if it's not got its leaves on. for now then, see if we find some later. So we're coming to the end of this hedge. Now, towards the corner of the field, so I walked all the way along. Listening to the birds. And then there's a couple of holly trees just to finish off in the corner here. I'm getting a bit wrapped up in this bramble, might have to rescue it, but it's also working its way out to the top of the hedge. A slightly smaller one with darker green leaves in here. It's not quite as fast growing. It's actually a little bit further out from the hedge, so probably doesn't have to fight quite so hard. And then we've got a little stream goes along here on the other side into the woodland and the magpie. So there we have it, and I'll just turn around and look back to see where we came from. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful, fluffy, soon to be floriferous and then fruity hedges. So that's it for me today. Tomorrow, another hedge. I'll see you then.